Hello and welcome to Talkin Jake, a special September 15th edition. Less than 2 weeks until playoff baseball will be played. That's a lie. It's 2 weeks in a day. So first lie of the episode, there will be two more. Pay attention. Comment below which lies happen. We will go through some ball talk, as we always do on this show. There is an ESPN article from half-friend Jesse Rogers, like to become full. He polls some executives, which I think that's always fun. We did our preseason poll, but he's talking about the 2020 playoff favorites and threats, and we'll see what we can get tidbits-wise out of this. From there, I'll bounce around the league a little bit. There's some crazy things going around. The Arizona Diamondbacks are back as a part of this season. Did you know? The AL and NL wildcard both have a chance of messy potential, but it's also... we're talking 13 games type deal left that the teams that are in just don't have to blow it. And the Mets just went on an 8-game loser. They stopped it on Sunday. Let's see how they bounce back from that. So we'll go through a little bit of the chaos and maybe even leak some of it through this article. So if you like to read along and listen along, Jesse Rogers, make sure you go check out his article on ESPN. And he's talking about the playoffs, the offs, because that's where we're at. That's all we're building through. The next couple weeks are going to be all matchups, and what do you like? Did you know the Mariners have a witch on their side? Go look up the Mariners Etsy witch. A fan bought a spell off of Etsy, and they've gone undefeated since. So,
Etsy witches are hot right now.
Not a bad time. And I think it was like $15.99. So if you got something you're dealing with, maybe Etsy Witch is the way to go. Let's see here. Jesse Rogers, 19 baseball players, executive, and scouts were polled. Who is the team to beat in the National League? Who is the team to beat in the American League? These are the results he got back. In the National League, the team to beat is... it's the Brewers with 7 votes. Milwaukee got 7 votes. Phillies 5, Dodgers 4, Padres 2, Mets 1. Okay. Interested to see the news and notes on that because the Metropolitans have some very bad stats of recent. Another way I thought about doing this earlier, and it's something I talked about on Talkin Baseball today, is... it's a very nostalgic thing, especially with some Yankee fans my age, but the World Series DVD, and it's become an internet joke of sorts when your team's playing well, and this is going to be in the DVD. It used to be like the coolest thing ever. Like your team won, and then there'd be a DVD about the season and all the highs and the lows, and we often joke about how the low moments, it goes to black and white, and the music changes. And then it's like in Major League when they start winning a ton of games and the music picks up and this is electric. The two teams that I think have... well, actually, I think there's 3 teams that have amazing DVDs going right now. One is obviously the Milwaukee Brewers that we're going to dive into more in a second. But, like, Bob Uecker passes before the year. Absolute legend of the game, legend of Milwaukee. They're wearing Uke on the arm. Stuff like that shouldn't matter and doesn't matter if you're a bad baseball team. But it does matter now because the Brewers have been one of, if not the best team in baseball. Note read by manager Pat Murphy from Bob Uecker, which I'll ask you to go listen to it. It's obviously emotional. Bob Uecker drops an amazing joke in there, how he's talking about watching the games from heaven, and he's going to have a headset on watching the games, and he said he's on a baseball team up there, but he's the 3rd catcher. Incredible joke. That if you're the Brewers, who have never put together a DVD, if you know what I'm saying, the way they are playing baseball, the fact that their manager went to the Chicago Cubs for more money, the fact that the Cubs have the big payroll, the fact that the Brewers are playing baseball the Brewers-y way, I think we can now label it. The Brewers have the best DVD going. Pat Murphy's talking about pocket pancakes, which is a term that should have never been brought up. The rest of that quote is really good. I know pocket pancakes just rolls, but he's like, yeah, pizza, whatever fits in there. Like, what?
Yeah, there was a quesadilla, a week or two ago?
That's not how clothes is supposed to work. Clothes and food aren't supposed to work like that. But it's working for Pat Murphy and the Milwaukee Brewers. Let's see. Within this, an NL player said, they seem like a team that has a really solid plan and cohesive approach, and they seem like they're on the same page. I just like the way they play, and they've done it all year. Why can't they keep going? Solid plan and cohesive approach. It's an interesting thing that I don't want to actually wrestle with nerds about because I don't know. It's something we've struggled with the Yankees, that it seems like their pitching plan and their defensive alignment hasn't always lined up, which it's just so hard to say because the Yankees are so focused on home run hitting that are their defensive philosophies off? Because there's been a lot of times with Yankees pitching, we see a fastball away, a hitter slaps it the other way, and you're like, wait, should the defense have been there? The Brewers clearly know what they're doing pitching-wise. They've done that for years. I guess the other thing for me is just to play for the Milwaukee Brewers, you have to be a good defender, especially at the premium positions. Third base, shortstop, second. A lot of the outfield positions, I know Yelly had some metrics that were declining over the years, but to play the Brewers' minimum requirement to play baseball on their team, you have to play that position at a plus level, and then anything we get from you offensively or speed or power, whatever it is, those become the contributions. The NL Scout, they still have to figure out the back end of their pen, but in a short series, they have the luxury of sending out one of their good starters to the bullpen. They might just run into enough home runs to keep pace in October, as we did a couple Wake and Jake episodes before. We talked about the home run numbers. If you out-homer your opponent in a playoff game, the odds are ever so high that you will win. Yes, that makes sense. I do think it also, like the way the Brewers can pitch, they can also limit homers pretty well. Like, how about homer prevention? Isn't that the whole thing? Run prevention?
Yeah.
And the last NL exec, getting the bye will be huge for them. They've been knocked out in those short series several times. This will let it breathe a little bit. Plus, their pitching staff is so good. If I'm Milwaukee, I want the longer series. And that's the sign if you're a good team, and it's part of the reason I've been trying to push for division series to go to 7 games. If you're the better team, you want more games. You want to take out the fluke element of it in a sport where the worst team will win 60 games. Not this year. Colorado notched 41 over the weekend. But I am going to win another bet, little flex for you guys. My 2 preseason baseball bets that I actually placed, because we talk a lot of sports bets. I bet the Brewers over, which that's kind of been known, and I've been flexing that a little bit. Also, this was a John Boy special that he caught me with one day, and I think we just went through it and we're like, what? It's under 2.5 teams losing 100+ games. So the Rockies have lost 100 games. Otherwise, it's pretty much home. I think the only teams left, the White Sox might get there. They have 57 wins, so they might not get there. And the Nats just won game 62. So I guess the Nationals have to win one more game technically for that.
They should win one game.
Just win one game, Nationals. James Wood, nice throw from the outfield the other day. Anywho, clicked away from the article, and we're back. Yeah, I think Division Series should be 7 games. I still can't believe we're not doing that as we look at trying to incentivize the playoffs more to give advantage to the higher seeds and the home field advantage. I'm guessing one day we're going to get there, but I guess we need to figure out our wild card format better. Whatever. I don't think a lot of this is new news with Milwaukee. I do think, because my whole speech from about a month ago or right before Zach Wheeler got hurt was that I thought the Phillies deserved the nod. And that's what's talked about in their bio. NL player. It's simple. They still have good pitching. They've been there before. Playoffs are about home runs. They can hit them. Bang! And that's what this NL playoff is going to be. I don't want to say the ultimate test of, because unfortunately it is partially true with baseball that either getting hot or lucky or whatever is in the mix in baseball is fully in the mix. That I am interested to see. We haven't even gotten to the Dodgers yet, and we will in a second. Another NL player. Their lineup is a little top-heavy, but they have enough at the bottom to do the job. If those guys show up, then the lineup's really good. Their pen is now incredible with Duran on the end. Gonna have to deep dive another day into the bullpen stuff because I pretty flippantly throw around how the Nats bullpen came together, how the Braves bullpen came together in 2021. The Texas Rangers, did I say them yet?
Not in this sentence.
What teams have I said?
You said Nats, Braves, and now the Rangers.
That's crazy. Are those all World Series winning teams?
Those are World Series winners. I'm sure if we poured into it, there's plenty of examples of teams that were hoping that would happen, and it didn't, and they were bouncing the DS. But,
right. Going in with a bad bullpen isn't a good plan.
But it can come together. There's 3 recent World Series champions. So.
Yeah, I think Seattle just had a 22-inning scoreless streak out of their bullpen. And that Braves one is another one that I know their offense kicked into gear, but their bullpen just became completely nasty in the postseason. And that's another thing to watch with Milwaukee, and we will do our best to try to be on the pulse of it. But how are they going to handle their young pitchers? Between starting or bullpen efforts. I know Quintana hurt his calf the other day, but Peralta, Woodruff, Mizorowski, is that just going to be their postseason 3? God, Chad Patrick in the pen for them. How do you like that? They have the arms. It's how are they going to mix them up? And it's so crazy that this Milwaukee franchise that has had really bad luck in the postseason, is going to find themselves going into this one as the favorite in the National League. And I do tell you, as I told you, how good the DVD is. If your team gets eliminated and you're looking for a team to root for, it's probably Milwaukee. I think the other 2 DVD teams that you could lock yourself into, well, obviously you can like the Phillies. We played an exercise before. How many alphas are on the Phillies? It's a lot. I won't name names, but you can list 9 easily as just like alphas. If it comes together for Philly, we remember that postseason and how crazy it was. But it's in the AL. It's Seattle and Toronto. I mean, just what Toronto's season has been from being is Vlad getting traded going to be the story of the trade deadline, to they're going to win the AL East. They have a 4-game lead and the tiebreaker, so they essentially have a 5-game lead on the New York Yankees with less than 2 weeks of baseball to play. It would have to be cataclysmic.
It would be a big deal.
In the words of Joe's McFly. And then for Seattle, it's just, a franchise that how little postseason success or attendance they've had is insane, to go along with their talent of what their starting pitching did this weekend is insane. George Kirby had 14 strikeouts. Bryce Miller had 11, and Brian Wu had 13. Now, it was against the Wounded Angels, but with that city, with Cal Raleigh's season, like the Blue Jays, Mariners, and Brewers DVDs on best watchability, I still think the Brewers would be 1. I think Seattle would be slightly cooler on the whole. John Boy waves to everyone. Jimmy O'Brien, media consigliere of sorts. I guess comment below. Which DVD do you think would be the best? George Springer wouldn't have a nice segment. Ernie Clement. Eugenio and Naylor getting traded over. Might have to script these up. Anyways, wrapping up on the Phillies, NL exec said it's their last hurrah, right? Older players, some of whom will be free agents at the end of the year, can't see Bryce Harper going his career without a ring. Ooh. Feels like that could be some Bailey BS at some point. Active players that need to get a ring. And hey, Zach Wheeler's out, which stinks, but the Phillies still have a lot of starting pitching to go through. And my reminder that this obviously isn't apples and oranges, but when the Braves won, they won it without Ronald Acuna Jr. So that's where baseball can be a crazy sport sometimes, and the whole thing can change. NL player on the Dodgers. When we played them, they didn't have a good series, but they seem to turn it up when they need to. That's the sign of a champion. I think their offense will have a big October and lead them like it did last year. Over the weekend, they faced the San Francisco Giants, who are competing for that National League wild card. Giants won, Game 1, grand slam walk-off. Patrick Bailey got on top of one from Tanner Scott, 5-1. San Francisco's going nutty. They're playing the Dodgers a lot down the stretch to finish off the season. The Dodgers bounce back. They win 2 double-digit efforts, and their offense has a chance to be unstoppable. I don't know. I know that's just not a phrase we use in baseball, but Shohei is pretty consistent as it gets. Mookie Betts, Fangraph rates him out as the best player the last week in baseball. Remember him? Teoscar Hernandez. Fangraphs has him rated as the 5th best player in baseball the last 7 days. Michael Conforto is starting to contribute, hitting .333 over the last 2 weeks. And that's before you get to Freddie Freeman, who I think we're going to believe in him come October. The season Andy Pajes has put together. They might be able to just ball and hit a lot. Will Smith just went on the IL, something to track, especially in the NL, for how good he has been this year. Because if you're the Dodgers, you can't bank on your pitching at all, which is insane to say, but Tanner Scott has turned into batting practice somehow. I don't know what has happened, but guys are just hitting missiles off of him. Trinan's there, and it's, his last time on the mound, he did catch the L. It's hard to picture him being bad in a postseason, but he's 37 years old. After that, the names, they're trying to figure out Kirby Yates. They're trying to figure out Michael Kopech, which, again, those are names that we've seen lighted up in the postseason. But this year, they have not been helping the bullpen with the 19th ERA, 21st in WHIP. If the Dodgers aren't going to roll teams this year, between the pressure they're going to feel, having the expectation that was put on to them before the season, and then with where their bullpen is at, no game is going to be out of reach. Whether that's the Brewers playing Brewer ball and getting them, whether it's the Dodgers playing the Phillies and those bats in that lineup, or it's the Cubs and the depth of their lineup with the high-end talent. As of right now, I do believe the Dodgers would host the New York Metropolitans. I would just say bet the over, because who are the Mets going to pitch? That becomes its own question. And at the same time, after I say all of that, what did I just say about bullpens? That's the easiest thing to fix. So imagine if the Dodgers do click into that this postseason. I don't know. I kind of like that baseball has a pretty strong no repeat champs going. Yeah. So I'm gonna believe in that until someone does it.
Helps that our favorite team is the one that last did it, so that helps us really like that. At least me.
I never even thought of it that way. Let's see. Other NL notes, the Padres, who got a couple votes, and I still think they have an argument for most well-rounded team. NL player, I like San Diego. They're hungry. They made all the right deadline moves, and they have experience of getting close but not going all the way. Do you believe in taking the steps like happens in other sports? NL exec, there's a lot to like about San Diego, but they can still be pitched to even with their deadline ads. What's that mean, huh? Front office mystery man. It's like they disappear sometimes. If they survive a wild card round and get some home games, Petco's energy could wake them up. Still a great bullpen. The way they should be able to pitch themselves through a postseason, it is very interesting to be like, this team's weakness is their lineup. When you look out and you see Tatis, Arise, Machado, remember the hype around Jackson Merrill before this season? Everyone was calling him Freddie Freeman, but playing center field. He's back, and he's put together a couple nice games, so that is significant. And that's the part I cannot... It's become a new postseason signature in baseball, the young players that are getting the call and are going to be on the biggest stage. And I don't know if we're hiding them from scouting reports or if it's... I don't know what it is. We saw Evan Carter go nuts for Texas and not be able to really able to do that again. The Giants just called up Bryce Eldridge, one of their kind of super prospects that if they can get the juice and catch the Metropolitans, that could become a story. Dom Smith got hurt, so that's kind of what opened that up. There was another young guy. Houston. Houston called up a rookie. What's his name? Zach Cole. First game, first pitch, homer. 3 hits in the game. Could Zach Cole be Houston's version of Evan Carter? Stay tuned. We're going to find out. We're going to find out all sorts of things with different young pitchers who get thrown in the mix. I just saw Detroit activated Jose Urquidy. I feel like I've watched him pitch in 11 postseasons. Funky body. More legs than you think. And a meaty trunk. Anyways, back to the National League, I suppose. Padres. God, I don't know. Where's America at with the Padres?
I think that, if we find ourselves in a playoffs and they're there, people probably be back in. But I feel like I just don't hear a lot of talk about them lately.
20th in runs scored.
That's weird.
That's, again, if we went by playoff teams, I mean, that has to be one of the worst offenses, right?
It's in the playoffs. Has to be.
Yeah,
it's bottom, just outside the bottom third in baseball.
I can figure this out. Let's see. The Padres are 20th, so playoff teams after them. Houston, 24th in runs. And then that would be it. Cleveland is 27th. They're somehow back in the mix in the American League. Don't know what that's all about. And the final team with notes in the National League. The Mets are really good, says one NL player. I know they struggled, but I'm banking on them getting hot like they did last postseason. Sometimes you get your worst baseball behind you, and then you find your groove. I'm all about that. NL Scout said their lineup 1 through 9 has to carry them. I'm not sure how they'll piece it together on the mound. Sometimes you find rookie magic in an arm or 2. How about 3? McLean, who has been incredible for them. Go check out McLean's stats.
Really good.
ERA starts off 1.1. Jonah Tong, who unfortunately got knocked around on Jacob deGrom's return. And then Brandon Sproat, another top prospect who got the call for them. I am so excited to watch Mets playoff baseball to see how they handle their pitching. Because I look at every arm, and I'm like, okay, I'm interested. I don't know how they're going to use it to navigate 9 innings every game of playoff baseball. That'll be the intriguing thing to see. Now, the AL. Who is the favorite in the American League? Why don't you check with DraftKings? Today's episode is sponsored by DraftKings. I told you about a couple bets I made before the season. You can get in on the NFL action right now. Place a touchdown bet. Or whatever you see and you like, and DraftKings has so many options, especially if you're a new customer. Why don't you just bet $5? You get $200 in bonus bets instantly, plus over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. If you like the thrill of live betting, they've got you covered. Same game parlays for a shot at a bigger payout. Why don't you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app? Use code JAMSPORTS. That's code JAMSPORTS to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. In the American League, who do they have as the favorite? Toronto. Toronto got 6 votes to the Tigers 5, who I left out their DVD storyline. I don't know. Is it a great one? The Scooble part's cool. They actually don't have the Mariners. Oh, okay. Stay tuned. Mariners are coming up. I don't like how they're phrased. We'll get there. The AL was tighter than the NL, and I think it makes sense. The Brewers have been the best team for months. It's a style of baseball you should want to root for, with good base running and good defense and extra base hits and advancing runners. The stuff in baseball that has seemingly been coached out that seems somewhat coachable, the Brewers are doing it. So again, if you're looking for another team to root for, and maybe this is why I prefer their DVD the most, if the Brewers do this damn thing this year in sports that are such copycat leagues, like, I think teams are going to come back and be like, wait, why did the Brewers win? And they'll say October luck in playoffs, but they'll also be like, wait, why were they the best team? They played baseball. Not just exit velo, not just home runs. Watch them get bounced in 4 games, and Phillies just launched nukes all weekend. Anyway, sorry for that, Brewers fans. Why the Blue Jays? AL player said, they're one of the most well-rounded teams in the AL. They have some experience, especially in the rotation, the old dogs. I like them. And have a little bit of everything in the lineup that's tough to contend with in a series. I think they have the most complete team. I think that might be fair in the AL. Seattle might have a conversation. I don't know. AL scout, as good as Bichette, Vlad, and Springer have been, it's the contributions from the left side of the plate, Nathan Lucas and Addison Barger, which make Toronto really dangerous. They have some balance, which has eluded them in the past. Remember when the Blue Jays were really good, but it was all righty, and their first big move they did was get Dalton Varsho? Didn't pay off initially. He's back there snagging balls, and he's just a weapon. AL exec, I love their team. I question their bullpen. It hasn't been very stout in the second half. Tommy Nance might be a guy to lean on. This is what we're talking about. Postseason baseball is coming. 34-year-old Tommy Nance, who has a 1.44 ERA in 25 innings pitched this year. Why not Tommy Nance? Or why Tommy Nance?
And how do you like that for the DVD?
That's just, let's get a little bio on Tommy Nance out of Long Beach, California.
It's like his debut in 2021 at 30 with the Cubbies.
Yeah.
I love that.
Cubs, Marlins to Blue Jays. So, watched a lot of Blue Jays baseball this year. Tommy Nance didn't seem like one of the kingpins to me, but that's what we're talking about right now. They're just so tough. I hope they... This is interesting because I like the New York Yankees. The Blue Jays and Brewers are going to be a real test for baseball. I can't have both of them going out instantly. How about that? I need one of those two teams to make a run because I need baseball to think what they are doing is good baseball. Toronto is first in batting average, first in on-base percentage. That seems obvious and good. Milwaukee is third in batting average, second in on-base percentage. So second in stolen bases for Milwaukee. I love it. Toronto doesn't really steal, and that's okay. They have Alejandro Kirk, and that makes me feel special. Their at-bats just feel so tough. They have a pass-the-baton mentality that's really impressive. It'll be interesting to see if that can withstand October, if that's the right way to phrase that. In the rest of the American League, the biggest threat to the Blue Jays, the second most votes went to the Detroit Tigers. AL player, Detroit is high up on that list of tough teams to beat. They know how to win. That's the biggest thing. They proved that last offseason. They've turned that Park into a nice home field advantage. I know they go first to third better than anyone. That's a key, playing in that ballpark. Okay, home field advantage. Play to your stadium. The Detroit Tigers do that. AL Scout. Sometimes seeing a team play a lot, you can get a more negative opinion than what their record is. What? And sometimes it can be more positive opinion than the record. Okay. With the Tigers, it's the latter. And they already have a pretty good record. Okay, so that was just a wordy, weird scout way of saying they're good, but they feel better than they are.
Scout got asked to be in an interview for the first time in a while.
I didn't like that.
He landed at he really likes him.
AL exec, I've tried to fill out playoff rotations without a true ace. It's really tough. Oh, sick AL exec. Nice flex. So having Tarek Skubal makes all the difference for me. Unless he runs out of gas, Detroit is my pick. You guys know I think it's my only outstanding bet right now. Well, hold on. I just mentioned the wins losses. I have a buddy, Tim, who's a big Hornets fan. And the past 2 times I've seen him, he's made me bet on the Hornets over this year. 26.5.
You've done it twice now.
I have 2 of those bets. Two of those bets. If I see him a third time, I think I know what's going to happen. Let's see. I've got my 2 open Hornets bets, Tigers to win the World Series, and the under 2.5 team with 100-plus regular season losses. So, I don't know. I think if the Nats win, that cashes. I like the Tigers, and I do like, as this AL exec mentioned, how tough it is to not have an ace. They have an ace. Although he did leave with injury, it's going to be a big start to watch Skubal's next time out. They said everything's clear, and I'm sure it was super precautionary, because why would you have Skubal pitch through a Marlins game where if he felt anything in mid to late September? So let's see the next Skubal start, because if he's out, and that's so bizarre, because baseball never works like this. I guess we've seen starting pitchers go on hellacious runs. So that would be the one outlier. But, one starting pitcher never carries a team to the World Series. That's just not, it's impossible.
They can only, even with shorter rotations, you get 1 out of 3 games, which if you're incredible, sure.
Right. It's super helpful. It also leaves, a chance of, I've said this before, if you get them on Skubal Day, it feels like 2 wins and you've stolen all the momentum. Let's see what that looks and feels like. I don't know if I believe in the bet. I think the 3 best teams in the AL are easily the current division leaders. I think it's Seattle. I think it's Detroit. I think it's Toronto. Why do we not believe in Toronto and Seattle as much? It's because they haven't done it, and we still think that matters. And I do still think that matters, although I could point to a team like the Texas Rangers that hadn't been dancing a lot. They went for a run. The Diamondbacks hadn't been dancing a lot. They went for a run. Detroit kind of showed with a lesser version of this year's team last year that they could win playoff games and be in it and have gritty type playoff at-bats. Honestly, I'm not sure they can win the World Series, but I think they could win the AL.
They showed they can win a series last year.
Took down
Houston. A lot of the
Houston
same guys.
after nobody's taken down Houston. If not Toronto or Detroit, then who? Yankees, hello. AL exec, I think their bullpen will get hot, and they have enough power bats to get through a weaker field in the AL. Well, that's what they did last year. It is pretty when they homa. They are going to test the rules of the postseason. And yeah, Devin Williams has had a really tough year. He had a nice weekend against the Red Sox. The Yankees are going to put him in big spots. They're going to hang their hat on Clay Holmes. Struggled last year, and he was massive for them in the postseason. Booney talked about that. So the Yanks are there. So interested to see their matchups with Rodon and Fried being the 2 lefties, that if they get an all-righty a la Houston, that's been scary for a little bit. Or a lot of Toronto's guys still get it done from the right side. Just super interested to see their playoff bracket at this point, and I have no idea what's up with the Yankees.
Yeah.
They could be good.
In kind of all 3 phases. They have the talent level to, if enough guys are right, like take care of business in the bullpen. If Devin's right, that goes a long way. Even some lower guys in the totem pole. I've seen Tim Hill put together good playoff series and get your lefties out when you ask him to do that. Mark Leiter, even this year and last year in the playoffs, had moments. I'm not saying I would bet on any one of these guys with what they've shown me lately or this season, but sometimes it turns on.
Yeah,
and they have the talent to rely on that happening to a certain degree, whoever it is.
The Yankees got to do a lot of it last postseason, that if the Yankees pitchers in a series can be Rodon, Fried, Heel, Schlittler, Bednar, Weaver, Williams, Cruz, and Tim Hill or Duvall. And this is what a lot of teams can do, that your pitching staff changes, that your bullpen ERA, you cut out a little bit of the fat, you can end up being sitting there pretty. I don't know how this Yankees season ends. I'd love to see the matchup. It's really looking like it's going to be 3 versus Boston to start, so that's horrific. That'll be fun to watch. Tune in for that. Other teams listed, the Boston Red Sox. We talked about having an ace, and so did this AL player. The Red Sox, they're playing good baseball. They have a formidable pitching staff with Crochet, and their lineup is cohesive. Looks like they have a good time together. They know how to win with Bregman there. Oh, a player said that. I think that matters. And then the Houston Astros. How about them? Everyone is forgetting that Yordan was out most of the season. You could put that into some of their run-scoring problemos. He's clearly a difference maker. We've seen that. And when we played them, this was an AL player. Framber and Hunter Brown were as good as any 2 pitchers. Houston is my pick. Yeah, it feels like these years, it feels like the Houston, every year feels like a different Houston test. And what is this one going to be? Because Framber Brown is a crazy 1-2 punch. Hader's been out. I feel like that has changed their team dynamic significantly. While they've gotten reinforcements in their lineup, that the AL might be a little juicier than we've let on. Yanks went to the World Series last year. Yes, they have blow-up potential with anyone in the world. They also have, can play good ball potential, as do the Red Sox. Their big 3, Crochet, Bayo, Giolito, they can shove. Chapman was throwing the grossest I think I've ever seen a pitcher throw on Sunday night, and he's been doing that the whole season. And Houston, if they get the juice and they pitch their good guys with their playoff history, I don't know. I guess we've been on the NL is so good. Mm-hmm. AL can be. They can just also not be.
It's just every AL team kind of has at least one thing they point to, both their fan base and others, is why we won't. And that could make for very good games when they actually are playing each other.
Right, like the AL teams look at themselves and they're like, this is why we're going to lose. The NL looks at the other teams. They're like, well, the Brewers are crazy, the Phillies are stacked, the Dodgers are stacked, the Padres are stacked.
Yeah, the flip side is each NL team has their reason you might pick them to win.
Yes. The AL teams are Toronto and Seattle are we've just never done this. We don't know. The Yankees have massive blow-up potential. The Red Sox, I don't know. I think their fans don't really believe in that team, but they've got Boston Hope and they got Cora, so why not? I guess that's maybe why Detroit kind of stood out to me. They still feel like you need to beat them. And it's not postseason ghosts or legacy or anything like that. The Tigers are going to play their brand of baseball. You got to beat them. Where the other teams are more so worried about internal problems. Now, why I was thrown off, a little bonus category in a column. We like that you can make anything up. Everyone's October sleeper pick, the Seattle Mariners, until recently. These are Jesse Rogers' words. The Mariners hadn't shown the league their best hand, ending up in the sleeper category. those that we spoke to said Seattle simply had more upside available than any other AL team. DVD, AL player, a team that can get really hot is Seattle. That pitching staff is legit. Riley hit 50. Eugenio's gonna. Guys that like the spotlight with Randy, they're built to win late. These are all things we love. NL player, it's one of those lineups where everyone is waiting for them to put it all together. Their rotation is very talented, and they have one of the best closers in the league. AL exec, Seattle has one of its best teams we've seen in years. If there's a real sleeper team in the entire field, it's the Seattle Mariners. And I think Jesse Rogers, part of the reason he did this, I think when he was getting the results, this is after the Mariners have gone on a 9-game win streak, which has them viewed a little differently. That I don't know if they'll be a surprise. As long as they're in the dance and they are competing, they have the talent to do so. And their home field advantage has been crazy. I think it's something like 20-6 since the All-Star break. They have been dominant. They also have a witch on their side. So maybe invest in that in your team. I've been clicking around this witch's Etsy, and I don't know how to order. I don't know how to order it. So I don't know if that's a bad link on my end. But I'm interested in more Yankees wins. So if you know a witch, reach out. Or if you know how to contact that Etsy witch properly, I'm interested.
How do I make an order?
I want one. It's my money, and I want it now. That was a lot of baseball talk going through the contenders. Again, it's a weird little segment here that we've got 2 weeks to figure out the playoff brackets, and maybe hopefully soon we could start getting more into the matchups and more magic numbers being clinched, that we can dive into it. Because right now we know a lot of it. It's just right on the outskirts right now in the seeding. Hey, Mets, figure it out or don't. Because that's going to get interesting. Same with the AL West the next couple days. Let's chew through football quick. I think I'm supposed to be at a meeting 3 minutes ago, but that's boring. Let's go through a chrono. Thursday night, we told you this is an exciting one in the NFC. The Washington Commanders, formerly the football team, went to Green Bay, and they lost 27-18. Green Bay with another dominant performance. It was interesting, and maybe put this in the back of our heads for next year. They were like, it's nice. Like, they were like, Green Bay's first 2 games being at home. Just like, that's nice. I mean, obviously, half the league's first game is going to be at home. But they were like, first 2 games at home kind of lets you settle in. You don't have to worry about any of the other stuff. I think Washington was coming off of a slightly shorter week, having played the night game. That Jordan Love looks really good. Their defense is kind of the story right now. Like the Packers offense, Tucker Kraft, add him to potentially one of the best tight ends in the league. He had 124 receiving in this game. The Packers offense, I feel like it is what you think it is. If it currently feels like Jordan Love could have a big game, could Jordan Love have a meh game? We're going to find out more about that. Josh Jacobs has been super solid, and they got all those varied weapons. Like they feel like future NFL, kind of like the Bills. Like we could throw it to anyone at any time. What's changed is their defense. I think their defense was looking like it was already going to be good, and now they got the bad man with Micah Parsons. They are 2-0. They are looking like one of the teams to beat. Which brought us to Sunday, and you probably heard the news by now. Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, they covered. It was my against the spread pick, 3.5, won by 4. Crazy. Vegas is so bizarre. But the big news, Joe Burrow is out 3 months, potentially the season. Hurt his toe. So, if you're a Bengals person and Burrow, when he's on, I think it's arguably the most impressive quarterback play in the NFL. That stinks for him and for Cincinnati as they go 2-0 against Jacksonville. It will be interesting to see how much can they sink or swim. They kind of got a brutal schedule coming up at Minnesota, at Denver, Lions, Packers. After that, some Steelers, Jets, Bears. Where can they land this by the time Burrow maybe comes back? Maybe it'll be too late. you sneak a couple wins. Can you be 4-4? I don't know if there's enough weeks. Tough. Jacksonville. Things are getting tense. Trevor Lawrence and the head coach with a little bit of a on the sideline. Don't care. What I do care about, one of the most electric game of the weekend, Cowboys, New York Giants. How electric was that? And that's not always what you get from these two teams. How about Russ 450 passing? Every time one of these teams felt like they were dead, the other kicked into gear. Brutal loss for the Giants at the end as Aubrey hits a 60-yarder to send it to overtime. Was it 64? Excuse me. And then a 46 to win it. The good news is, like, Malik Neighbors is that guy. Dude, give the ball to Scattaboo. Give the ball to Scattaboo.
Keep him involved.
That guy is a problem. I don't know. It was funny seeing the Giants fans in the office today that they were like, hey, we just wanted an exciting product, and that's what we got. So that is what they got, but they also got an OT loss. And that stat about Giants having 60-yard field goals made against them is crazy. Like 4?
Yeah.
It's nuts. What is that? Another game we had circled, Detroit-Chicago. Oh, boy. Little homecoming. Detroit put it on them. 52-21. Whoa. Lions bounced back after a week one where they lost at like Vegas, and the money lost a lot of faith in the Lions. They came back with a dominant performance. Goff with 334 through the air. Gibbs with a solid day at the office. Amon-Ra, the sun god, looked great. For the Bears, I don't know. I mean, how can you look at this defense and think anything positive? Roma Dunze had a good game for them. Caleb, I wouldn't say it was a step forward, but it wasn't a step back. Things are getting dark for the Bears. Their fans are losing patience quickly and should be. Rams handle the Titans 33-19. I don't have a ton to add there. Miami and New England actually played kind of a crazy game. Miami returns one to take the lead late, but the guy stepped out of bounds, and then New England stops them on 4th down. I don't know. Everyone's out on Miami, and their head coaching situation is getting kind of ugly quick. I like that Ramondre Stevenson had a big yard game because I took him in a couple leagues. And they just gave him an extension. I know everyone's excited about the rookie out of Ohio State, but Henderson, I think Ramondre might have a decent fantasy year. Or at least that's what I'm biasly hoping. That's nothing. San Francisco and New Orleans. Mac Jones. At it, baby. Does it get any better? Niners are 2-0. Saints probably have an argument for worst team in the league, so that is what it is. But, hey, that's none of the Niners' business as they hope to get Brock Purdy back at some point. Buffalo and the Jets. Buffalo rolled them early, and the Jets just had no counter. I was riding the Justin Fields fantasy angle pretty hard this offseason. He had a throw that killed me going into the second half. The Jets are driving, trying to get that momentum changer, get a couple more points on the board. And they just had the play, like quarterback rollout, tight end rollout to the flat. It was there. Just holds on to it for a second too long and then throws a bad pass. They don't complete it. Ends their whole drive, ends all their momentum, and that's one of those things that has to worry you. Hey, it's the Bills. You're still the Jets. Figure it out. Pittsburgh, Seattle. Seattle wins 31-17 in Pittsburgh. I think Seattle's head coach is good. We're a day away. Maybe we're a good weekend away from getting his name. I think it's last name McDonald. We'll get the whole thing soon.
Mike McDonald. And I knew that before Googling.
It's not. He needs it to be a little more spectacular. Like if it was Marshall McDonald, I think everyone knows it. Anyways, Seattle gets a special team touchdown late on a blunder of sorts. They kicked it off to the Steelers. The return guy lets it go past them. It doesn't go out of the end zone. It just sits back there. Seattle guy recovers it for a touchdown to end the game as Seattle scores 17 in the fourth to take this one 31-17. Let's see. What else do I got here? Cleveland, Baltimore. I don't know. I think what what you thought might have happened happened. Baltimore 41, Cleveland 17. The ponies versus the ponies. The Broncos versus the Colts. Hi-ho the Dario. Daniel Jones, Indiana Jones. Some people are saying around the office. Dalton, our one Colts fan. Jonathan Taylor with a lot on the ground. All of this to be said, the Broncos are up. The Colts are going to attempt a 60-yard field goal to try to win it. They miss it. Game over. Broncos win. Penalty. Colts get another look at a 45-yard field goal this time. They bang it. Has to be crushing. I mean, that's as close to a win and a loss in the NFL that I feel you could have. I guess a Hail Mary is the same thing. But, like, I don't know. Hail Mary, you know the game is still in the balance. Like, the Broncos kind of won the game. That flag doesn't get thrown. It's just Broncos won, missed 60-yard field goal, 2-0 Denver Broncos. Instead, it's the 2-0 Indianapolis Colts with Daniel Jones back at it. How do you like that? I guess my Bronco fan meter, I'm a little off. I think you guys know my Broncos fandom's always just slightly off. I'm scared about the division. I think Mahomes and the Chiefs are still really good, even though they lose to Philly 20-17, 0-2 on the season. Watch your lips. Who says that? I don't say that. And I just think the Chargers are good. But I guess that's a little bit of me, and that's a little bit we'll find out tonight. Tampa Bay, Houston, Chargers, Vegas, doubleheader tonight. Didn't watch Atlanta, Minnesota because it was Talkin Yanks time, so I've got nothing on that for you. Arizona and Carolina, I don't know. I think we're all fibbing to ourselves a little bit. Although Bryce Young, my guy, 300-plus yards passing. Tet McMillan, the top pick for them, 100 yards receiving. And the Cardinals are 2-0. Do with that what you want. Has them tied atop the table with San Francisco above the NFC. So, I'm good. I was bopping around. It's still big-time baseball mode that I didn't get a full red zone day. I was watching the Giants.
Wow.
Which normally that's a horrific time. But it was
a long time.
It was exciting. That was a really fun game to watch. Won't you be my neighbors? All right, guys. Little Poppy's got to go. Thank you, guys. Subscribe, share, all that stuff, I guess. And we will see you back here Wednesday.